why can't Scott just focus on mortgages or real estate? Why does he have to do events? Why does Scott have to go out there and do like this other side business and this other side business? And then they just get
diluted.
And then they don't, when they could just go out there and make millions in real estate or mortgages. What do you think is what gets people to do that? Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. Yeah, because I lead a lot of people, and then I find them like, hey, you know what? It's cool doing the little swing and dance at TikTok but what is that? Like, focus on what you're doing.
Make more calls. Yeah. So I think it's human behavior, and so the way that we describe this is local versus global benefit. And so a simple example is like, if I want to have a six-pack, right? Why does Sarah go grab a piece of cake rather than grabbing a piece of chicken breast? Because the local benefit, the acute benefit of having a piece of cake is higher in the local region. But the global benefit for her body is lower. And so humans in general will tend to optimize for local benefit rather than global. And the people who can simply optimize for global benefit, for their system-wide benefit, are the ones that get the biggest compounding returns over the long haul. It's the same thing as in a business setting. Why don't the sales guys leave notes in the CRM so that when the customer service rep or the onboarding rep can see the notes to have a way better experience, have way better ascension rates, way less churn, dropout, all these other great metrics that would improve the overall business? Because the local pain, right, of writing the notes in is harder than not doing it, but doing it gives the global benefit that is worth it, right? And an interesting one from an operational perspective, because like I'm sure you've also had the flip side of people who over operationalize things, they over process shit and then it gets too hard, is that the point of process is to give a global benefit. And so you can measure, is there a global benefit from this thing? If we're having people do lots of stuff, but it doesn't have a global benefit, or the global benefit does not outweigh the cost, like for example, let's say that one of the benefits is if we could have people walk through a 20-step sales page thing so they could finish all of that without the finance department hopping on. Sure, that might be a benefit globally, but the global loss might be that we lose sales by like 70% because it's such a pain in the ass, right? And so you have to look at global cost versus global benefit on any kind of initiative. And so to get back to the why does Johnny have a bunch of side hustles is because the local perceived benefit of a shiny object sounds exciting. Even though globally we could make a very easy argument that if you took all that time, all that attention, all that wasted energy and just put it into the thing that is his main vehicle, you get outsized returns. Because the thing that Johnny doesn't understand, and this is alluding to the lesson that you mentioned earlier, is that like all the gains come at the end. You know what I mean? And so many guys are like, they're doing 80% effort in 3 things, where if you just did that extra 20 for the one thing, you would get more on that 20 than you would on everything else.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And so it's a diminishing marginal return with an outsized absolute return. And so I'll give a different example to drive this up. Sorry for just loading the examples. Please. If I'm a runner and I'm in the Olympics and I train, the amount that an extra, 2 hours a day of training does for me, the amount extra speed I get might be this much, right? The last 2 hours compared to the first 2 hours, I might get this much extra. But this much extra is the difference between first and fourth. And so what's the absolute difference of that marginal return? It's everything. And so I think that when we're trying to compete in the space, we have to understand like you are going to have less return on your time in an opportunity, but the absolute return of being that much better than everyone else makes all the difference in the world. If you're a really good sales trainer versus the best sales trainer, you'll make 10 times more money being number 1. And that's the absolute versus marginal difference.
Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to Driven Channel now to watch the latest videos and catch up on all the podcasts.